This big bowl, it actually came with the lid, but I have a glass one that's the same size. It's just in the fridge. So if you're wondering why I have a bowl cover for when it has a lid, that's why. So these covers are just little covers to go on the bowls. So if you're having your dinner outside or whatever and you just want to cover it, or for putting up leftovers. Now I am trying to make the insides black, or you could do like a really printed print. That way if it gets salsa or something on it, it doesn't look terrible. So this is my big one. I think I'm going to make a couple more of this size. I was thinking even to put on like a plate. You know, if we just had a plate of leftovers or something, someone's going to eat it later. That same size actually fits on the plates. So I want a couple more of that size. And then I was thinking that this size container would make one that would fit over like a pop can or like a seltzer water can. And I always have drinks out in the garden. And so I thought, because we get a lot of bees and I always worry that I'm going to drink a bee. So I'm always trying to lay something on top of my drink. So I figured I would make some smaller ones that would just go around my cans. Or even the top of like a, really any kind of cup. Anything that I would want to top on. And then this size, I'm going to make some that fits this. Again, this comes with lids, but I was thinking it would fit like cereal bowls and things that are that size. So I'm essentially using these as like my sizes. So that real big one I did, I took this pizza pan and I just traced it and it fits that bowl perfectly. So I figured I would make some. I don't think I'm going to do this size because the big one fits the plates really good. This little fabric packet at Walmart that has these different little, like this one has jars and cows. And then these ones are just kind of patterns that match it. This one has chickens and cows and it says farmhouse. And this one has bees and honey jars on it. So I figured that's what I would use to make these bowl covers because I like them. Oh, I actually found a bigger, a 1 yard piece like this. I don't think it's exact, maybe, but it's real similar. And I wanted to make an apron with it. So if you guys want to make that apron with me, then I'll make that video too. Okay. Let's see. I think I'm gonna do, well, you know, the little ones that I'm doing for the cans and the drinks, I could just use off of the scrap pieces after making the bigger ones. So I won't dedicate one to that. I'll make a few, like one of each. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the biggest one. I wonder if I could double layer up this and cut it at the same time. Probably not a great idea. I do have my iron heating up behind me, so I am going to press these before I cut them. Actually, I'll probably press it after I cut them. Here so you can see it. Okay. And this project's really forgiving, so you don't have to do everything just perfectly. It's got some working room. Because once you sew it, you can't tell if you messed up. I like projects like that. Okay, if you don't sew, so this is a fabric cutter. It actually has like plastic where it protects it until you move this down. These are extremely sharp. The way I cut it is I just go around here. I don't even mark it. There's no reason to mark it when you have something elevated to guide you. I'll try the whole thing just so it's easier for me. Going through all of them. So I'll still need this to make the backs. I'm just doing the backs of plain white or black material. Okay. So there's all of our circles for the fronts. I'll go ahead and get everything cut because I've noticed I tend to cut sew, and I think I would sew longer if everything was already cut, so I would get more done. So you can kind of see how much is here, and I think that's going to be big enough for this guy. Maybe not on those back too. Okay. I didn't cut it. Okay. So for this one, I actually want to cut just like a. Do I have something a little bigger that I could just trace? I don't think so. Okay, so this one I'm actually going to need to do an inch all the way around. Keep that close to there. I think it's going to be smarter to cut that with some scissors. And these scissors are able to cut through all of these layers, so that makes it even easier. Okay. So they're a little jagged. I am going to clean these up. I think what I'm going to do is fold it in half. And I wonder if this can go through all the layers. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to trim off enough to make them straighter here. Like I said, this is a pretty forgiving pattern for like a beginner. Okay, well that's better. Alright, so that's all of those. Now I want to see if I have enough strap to do a few can size ones. Might even be able to in this little corner. that's what I got this guy for. So this container is wider than the can, so I think it's going to be plenty to just trace this one. I hope they all worked. So I have all these little ones, and now I just need to work on the back sides, the flat part. And if you wanted to, if you wanted to use these more to keep the heat in, you could put some batting in between it, like what you quilt with, kind of like making a pot holder. You could put some in there. I'm not worried about these keeping it hot. I'm just worried about like bugs or putting leftovers away. Like I don't want flies in my food when it's outside. And I plan on having a lot of grilling and eating outside. Okay. So for these scraps, I think what I'm going to actually do is just cut these down and just put these away. Save these for something else. I don't think I need any more bowl covers. So this will be the scraps that I keep. And then little ones like this, I will throw into a scrap bucket. I might do some scrappy quilts with those type of scraps. Okay, now I'm going to work on the backs. These black pieces, I'm going to cut them the same size as the ones I just cut out. If you guys need the diameters, I can get those for y'all. But my best advice would be to do like I did if you can find a container a little bigger, just to trace it, because it's so much faster than trying to draw a good circle. If you do have to draw your circle though, you can take whatever container you want it to fit and just measure about 2 inches, you know, like mark 2 inches in multiple places, and then make that a circle. And that's how you can cut fabric for that. Okay. So I just have some cotton pads over here. I'm gonna get it folded right now. So again, I'm going to use the big pizza pan that's seen better days. I'm going to cut, so let's get it where you can see this. I'm going to cut pretty close to the edges, that way I don't waste as much material. Cut and clean. So there's my backs for the big ones. Go ahead and put them with it. Okay. Now I'm going to work on the medium-sized cereal bowl type ones. Let's see if I can cut around these without cutting them too badly, at least. the struggle in cleaning cereal when you're using these. You have to push down. So this is a self-healing mat. So this, you can cut it over and over and over. And so when you're pushing down really hard, you have to make sure that you don't push forward really hard and cut in the wrong place. Okay, so that was still layered up like it was. So we have 4 of these now. Like I said, these are really forgiving, so these little scraggly edges will be tucked in. More scraps for our scrap bucket. Should go this way. I feel like it's folded up. I don't want to cut along the fold. Okay. How many did we just do? 4? Yeah. Alright, just like before, I'm going to do it close to the edge so I don't waste so much. It's my little mini ironing board. Should I try to press them together? I don't know if that works. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Okay. Y'all let me know if y'all do that. How's that work out? Okay. As I press them, I'm just going to stack them back on the table. So you're going to want to put your right sides together, and we're just going to sew right along the edge all the way around, almost. And then you're going to leave a little space, about 2-3 inches, so that you can turn it inside or right side out. So I'm going to start on that, and that's just going to give us a nice clean edge to start with. how it's like bubbly, poofy? We're gonna want to flatten that with the iron so that it just sits a little nicer before we sew the next part. So I'm going to sew all of these pieces, get them all to this point, and I'll get back to you. Okay, now we're going to iron these, and you want to kind of stick your fingers in these holes and poke out these little parts that are kind of folded over. And so I've done that, and I've gotten them ready to press. So we're just going to press these flat so that these edges, instead of being rounded, are kind of flat. Now we're going to sew on the right side of the material. We're still going to leave that opening, but we're going to sew us a line right along here, just a straight stitch, so that our elastic can go in between there and stay in that little pocket, that sleeve all the way around. So I'm going to start at the edge of my opening, and I'm just going to sew around. Make sure your back stitch. If you're following along with me, we're almost done. So now what we want to do is you're going to take the container that you're wanting them to fit. So I'm wanting all of my large ones to fit this bowl. You're going to take your elastic and you're going to measure it according to the bowl you want it to fit. So you're going to stretch it. That's how it's going to fit, and that's right where I'm going to want it to connect. So again, give myself a little bit of leeway there. And that's my piece for my long ones. So I'm going to measure out, I have 4 of them. So I'm going to cut 4 pieces for that length. I actually got this whole roll for $4.99 at a thrift store. So I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, so there's my ones for my large ones. Now the little pop size ones, I actually went to sew them and realized they're going to be too small. So I'm gonna have to start over and do them bigger, because by the time I got them done sewing 2 times around, it cut a lot into it, and I didn't consider that when I measured them out. And honestly, these medium ones might actually end up being fine for those to put on top of drinks. Yeah, because I don't think they're going to work for our bowls. These are probably going to end up being the drink size ones. So I'm going to measure it according to this, because this is about how long, how big a cup is. So I'm going to do that right there. And so that ends up being about almost 7 inches. Okay, 8 inches. So I'm going to need 4 of these. Now we can go finish these guys up. For this next part, you're going to want to get a paper clip. Not a paper clip, a safety pin. And that's going to be what we use to feed this through here. So you're going to put it inside of your opening, and you're going to scoot it along to feed this elastic through here. When you get close to the end, you don't want to lose the opposite end either, so you can hold on to this and keep feeding the other part. We're getting close. Okay. And now you're just going to tack these 2 ends of the elastic together with your sewing machine. In fact, you can even turn them the same way if you want. Okay. So now stretch out your elastic, get it kind of placed, and now we're just going to close our opening. So we're going to fold it over on both sides so that it looks finished like the rest of it. And we're just going to sew that closed. Now I have our little cover, and I do think these are going to be able to work for the cans like I was thinking. Of course, if this didn't have a straw, here we go. So that means it's going to fit any cup that I'm planning on taking outside. So I'm excited. I was hoping really to have some for those, and really thought these would be too big, but by the time you add everything, like the elastic, and it takes away the side measurement, it works perfect. Alright, 1 down, 7 to go. This is what we made today. I have 3 of the large ones right out here. These will fit on plates like this one or on big bowls. And then the smaller ones, I found they will fit mason jars, they will fit cups, they will fit a lot of different things that I could use them for. Even have this one that fits my big drinking cup. Well, they all do, all the little ones. So I think those are really going to come in handy for when I spend a long amount of time outside and I want things covered for my drinks. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I thank you for everything.